Quarterback, I have a situation. Somebody tried to kill me.
Talk me through your very scary scenario.
Tokyo, London, Shanghai. It's gonna be a wipeout.
Just an analyst anymore, Jack.
You think this is game, Jack?
It's a decoy.
We are compromised.
Oh my God.
When things come as a surprise, it's the script, and how do you react to it when you read it? And I read this from cover to cover, and it was very nerve-jangling, spine-tingling action thriller. But more than that, it carried a sort of emotional charge that I was surprised by. You really care about Jack Ryan. He's a very particular kind of character in this genre of film, and so it was the combination of his distinctive qualities and the fact that the story, I thought, was extremely gripping.
Jack!
I liked that our Jack Ryan, our version of Jack Ryan, was someone who you may know in your life. He could be your history teacher, he could be your accountant, he could be your best friend. He is very much an everyman, and he's very smart, but he doesn't, when he finds himself in an extraordinary situation, you know, much like MacGyver or something, he's got to figure out a way out. He doesn't know exactly what to do, but he has to think on his feet. I like that quality of a man thinking on his feet. That his brawn isn't his muscles or his fists, his brawn is his mind, and his ability to analyze quickly and go with his gut. And speaking of gut, I think too, what makes Jack Ryan an interesting character, and it sounds, I guess, a little, it sounds almost earnest and simple, but that he's a good man. And that Jack Ryan is the man that you want to be president. He's the man that you want to be your best friend, because he's got that good heart, he's got that good soul, he's got that quality of character that makes him the leader that you want to lead.
Chris Pine brings to it, you know, a very, very handsome, sexy lad who's a real thinking actor as well. And you do need, if Jack's an analyst, you need to be interested in watching him as he looks at something and analyzes it. And we have that quality with Chris. And he's someone who, moment to moment in a scene, is very questioning in a positive way about what's real and truthful and accurate. In this origin story, it was important that, you know, we understood how potentially being in the CIA involved Jack's friends and family in being sometimes uncomfortably or dangerously integral to the job that he does. The pressure to share or not share, and the reaction of people who've been, they might think, betrayed or lied to, becomes a very interesting dynamic, because it puts a human pressure back on Jack. So playing opposite him, Keira Knightley brings intelligence, she brings effortless beauty, she brings a real sense of the professionalism of Kathy as an equal. She's a professional eye doctor, as she puts it, great surgeon, and she was very good, Keira, at going back to find from the Tom Clancy lore everything that could be useful to making Kathy as full a figure as possible.
I play Kathy, who is Jack's fiancée. She's an eye doctor, pediatric eye doctor. They met when she was a medical student doing part of her course in physical therapy, and they became engaged. She doesn't know that he's working in the CIA.
I had a little support system there which I'd used previously, and and it was nice to do it this time. So I felt that if with that in place, it would actually be wonderful fun to play this this dark character. I never think of him as a villain. Of course he is, but you don't. He's a man called Victor Sherenin, and he's a very powerful oligarch, very closely and highly connected in the upper reaches of the Russian government, and he is something of a maverick. And he, when invited to be part of a retaliation against the US when the Russians have been denied what they feel is their due at the United Nations, he then does something so awful, but he does so with a sense of sort of personal investment in it. He has a grudge against America, he has a personal tragedy that fuels this as well, and he has a sort of ruthlessness about how he will achieve his means. So this means everyone's a potential victim. So he's one of those contained fellows mostly, but one of those ones you wouldn't want to cross. It makes him a very interesting character to play.
Ken is an actor of his generation, and maybe the actor of his generation coming out of England, and what he's single-handedly been able to do. I mean, listen, this guy crosses cultural borders as a leading man, so it's not just, I'm not trying to reduce him down to England. This is a go-to person, and he's becoming a go-to director. I mean, he's unafraid of genre, and I think he's fit himself smartly and nicely into this movie. You know, it's one character who doesn't have to worry about getting out of his trailer. He knows that he'll show up, he knows that he'll be on time, and he just has the presence for playing Sherenin, you know. I mean, everybody messes that name up in their own way. But, you know, he's made a good choice there, the part that he plays, and I'm glad to see that. I think he just, you know, he gives weight to the movie as a director, and knowing that he's in the movie gives weight to the idea that he's part of this cast.
Well, we were very lucky. David Koepp wrote the script, and David Koepp's resume speaks for itself. So we had a really fantastically structured script. It was very tight. The plot was really rich. The characters were well developed as well.
Thrillers really aren't done very often nowadays, and I suspect actually it's because you have to be told by a really good storyteller. And I think that's really where Ken Branagh comes in, you know, because he's a very, very good storyteller. So I think as opposed to it just being the sort of everyday action film where you don't get the kind of performances, you don't get the story, you just get action scene to action scene to action scene, with a thriller you really have to kind of build the suspense up. So I think that's what's kind of interesting about it, and hopefully what works about it and what worked about the previous films before.
I remember watching the films growing up and watching someone like Harrison Ford do it. There was always a quality to him that even if a superior were to tell him something to do, if he didn't believe it was right in his heart, in his mind, in his bones, if he didn't think it was something that was worth doing, he wouldn't do it and he would fight back. And that is to me the definition of a good man and a hero, someone I would like to watch on screen. Watching Alec Baldwin do it, I mean, Hunt for Red October remains one of my favorite films, and there's a scene when he's shaving, and Alec, I always thought, gave him a strong confidence. You know, you never doubted for a second that he wasn't going to get on that submarine. So I kind of always thought about marrying the two. You know, this kind of quiet intelligence that I thought that Harrison brought to it, this kind of fierce confidence that Alec had, and kind of somewhere in the middle is that relatable guy that, again, like I said before, someone that you know, he could be your history professor, he could be your best friend, you know, or I don't know, or he could be Jack Ryan.
Keep in mind, I don't have your PhD.
I think there's a coordinated plot for terrorist attack. It's gonna be big.
You're not just an analyst anymore, Jack. You're operational now.
Work okay?
Yeah, it was good.
I have to go to Moscow.
You Americans like to think of yourselves as direct. Perhaps you are just rude.
Perhaps you're just touching.
Got it.
You're spectacular.
Partnerships are delicate, Mr. Ryan. Sometimes they end violently.
We're compromised.
Oh my God.
There's a very real scenario where we don't get out of this alive.
Where is she?
You think this is game, Jack?
It's a decoy. Tokyo, London, Shanghai. It's gonna be a wipeout.